You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Tuesday. Sorry about that, folks. Welcome, Derry Bennett, Quad Bennett, Yellow King, Heat. How's it going? Michael Hasser. How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Vote in 20 days. That's right. There's less than, geez, man. It's really just not that much. Not that far from the election, folks. Hello, hello. Kamala's on with Charlemagne the God. How's everybody doing? All right, folks. The usual disclaimers. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. Join us on the Discord, folks. There's lots of stuff happening. We are going to do more movie events. These last couple of weekends. These last couple of weekends, we have the Rocky Horror Show, which we will play on Saturday. At around 6 p.m. And the official movie night event, which will be The Nightmare Before Christmas, will be the Saturday after that. Things are kicking off into spooky season gear, so join us, folks. I'll make that event on Discord now. Thank you. Kamikaze, welcome. I probably won't dress up for Rocky Horror on Saturday because my kid wants me to dress up as Morticia for Halloween. Nice. Nice. All right, folks. Let's get started, folks. We have a few headlines to go through today, so let's do it. I just put in 2 horror movie suggestions. Gotta check that out. Where are we? Here we are. Oh, The Descent is good. I haven't seen The Ritual. Man, we might have to squeeze in another event, like a Friday or something. I like these Halloween movies, okay? Both are so good. Yeah, or like a double feature. That sounds like a good idea. Maybe this Saturday we'll do like a double feature, or maybe like on actual Halloween. Instead of like a stream, we'll put like I don't know, like a double feature of like actual scary movies, or just keep rolling like a couple scary movies just as like background stuff on the Discord for anyone who wants to join. It could be like a revolving door of just like a couple spooky movies that we can kind of put together, maybe like 3 or 4, and just like whoever wants to like just hop in and watch may do so while we're out and about and doing our stuff. I can leave the movies playing. How weird do you want to get? Because we can get weird. Not as weird as Republicans, though. I mean, if there's spooky movies, The Descent is good. I haven't seen the other one, The Ritual. Wait, no, it wasn't The Ritual. What is it called? Yeah, The Ritual. I haven't seen that one. But I mean, I'm down. Have you guys seen the movie The Jester? The movie The Jester? If you haven't, it's a pretty it's not like it's not as bad as far as like scary, but I could see how like some people might find it scary. Um it wasn't too bad. Weird like a golden retriever. Um oh, you know what else is another good movie is the Babadook. The Babadook is a good movie. I'm gonna put that one on the list. I'm just gonna put it on the Discord because I can't I'm gonna forget. So I'm just gonna type it in there. Gonjim Haunted Asylum. That sounds scary. That sounds scary. Alright, folks, let me grab my soda water and we'll begin. Just 1 second, folks. I just need to get up and grab my soda water. It's on Peacock and it's really scary. It sounds scary. I'm just gonna copy paste it on the Discord so I can remember. Alright, give me 1 second. Nice. I see what you did there, Michael Hassler. I see what you did there. Give me a second. Just gonna grab my drink. By the way, I've been playing Diablo. I've been playing Diablo on the mobile. It's actually pretty decent. I never got into these Blizzard games as much, except for maybe StarCraft because it was a strategy game. But I've been playing Diablo. It's pretty freaking cool. It's pretty freaking cool. Alright, folks, let's get started. Four or two? Good question. What's the one on mobile? I'll tell you right now. Oh, it doesn't say. Diablo Immortal. Honestly, it kind of looks like it kind of looks like a remake or like a mobile version of 4. Because I'm pretty sure we had Diablo 4 for the PC. We had Diablo 4 for the PC, and it looked very similar to the one on the mobile, the new one. Yeah, like but it kind of looks like Diablo 4 because we had that one on PC. I'm pretty sure that's what we were playing not that long ago. I feel like that was maybe a couple years ago. So when I decided to download this one now, it reminded me of the PC one. Four came out last year. Okay, so that had to have been, yeah, that had to have been last year, because I'm pretty sure that I downloaded Diablo 4 at some point on, I want to say, Mrs. Truth's laptop, and it was very, very similar to this. The story was like a little bit different, so it kind of tripped me out, but it's close enough that I like it. I like actually playing on the mobile. It actually doesn't bother me that much. It actually doesn't bother me that much to play it on mobile. The movie event is live on Discord. That's right. Join folks and hang out with us. It's the season. You know? It's spooky season. I mean, it's up and working. Yeah, I see it. I suppose before we get into the videos, we should probably, well, nah, I'll just keep, I'll just stay on track. We'll start here.
Investigation found serious problems in how the company. Our investigation found serious problems in how the company was maintaining its properties. Mold, rat feces, exposed wire.
There was dripping water in the garage right in front of the door to the house. We had a water pipe that was about to burst.
If you rent a single-family home, there's an increasingly larger chance that your landlord is a new breed of homeowner. Wall Street. Giant institutional investors are grabbing up thousands of homes in Atlanta, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and so many communities around the country, making housing both more unaffordable and lower quality. And one of the biggest culprits is a publicly traded company called Invitation Homes, which owns, believe it or not, 80,000 properties across the country.
Cool.
Dallas-based Invitation Homes is the largest operator of rental homes in the country.
Invitation Homes, which has some 2,500 properties here in the Denver metro.
They have more than 9,000 properties in the Phoenix metro alone.
Invitation Homes has been deceiving consumers, violating tenant laws, and failing to keep their properties habitable. But the Federal Trade Commission has been paying attention.
Sounds like the landlord special. Sounds like the landlord special.
They've heard from renters across America, and for the first time ever, they have brought a case against a major corporate landlord, fining the housing giant $48 million in a historic settlement.
We get millions of complaints every year from people reporting all sorts of abuses they are facing in their everyday life. And one of the things we've heard in the housing sector is that renters are facing a lot of abuses today.
During its investigation, the FTC uncovered that Invitation Homes has engaged in
Are you covering Bill Maher today? No, I don't think so. I didn't put that one on the list. I think Majority Report covered it, didn't they? I feel like they did. Although maybe for entertainment purposes, maybe to get a good laugh. Oh, Hassan? Okay, that would make sense too. Maybe for entertainment purposes, we could cover Russell Brand's new grift. Because like it's just so absurd that you just have to laugh at it. If you haven't seen what Russell Brand is shilling now, you would think it was like a parody, but it's not. And it's just like so absurd that it's actually it's just funny. It's just content to laugh at. Globus the Elder, hey, welcome. Did you see Conover talking about how institutional investors don't really affect the housing market? No, I have not. He found Jesus.
Deceptive and exploitative business practices for years.
We alleged, I think, 4 really serious law violations in particular. And what we alleged is that the company saddled renters with junk fees, hidden fees that they didn't know would be included in their rent.
Adam Conover has done quite a few excellent videos. So I have to check that out. I mean, YouTube is giving me a suggestion right here. Why cars suck. That's just how they operate, am I right?
We allege that the company skimmed off people's security deposits systematically, withholding millions of dollars from renters. We allege that the company failed to maintain their properties and often ignored maintenance requests from renters. And we allege that during the height of the COVID pandemic, the company steered people away from federal eviction protections and initiated eviction actions in spite of those protections.
Wild.
First on the list, the FTC found that Invitation Homes used a predatory fee structure that it concealed from renters until the last possible moment. Basically, they lied about the cost of rent.
The company would advertise one rent, but then saddle renters with hundreds of dollars in junk fees that could jack up their rent more than $1,700.
Yeah, you know what? That freaking happened. That freaking happened to us. That happened to us. We were looking at a place to rent in back in Florida. And I went to go see an apartment. It looked nice. It was in a good place. And it was perfect, right? Like the location was good. It was good for work. Cool. So I went to go see it, and sure enough, what supposedly was going to be one price ended up being like at least hundreds of dollars more. That they didn't put there up front. They didn't put that up front. Between like between like parking fees and some other stuff. They said like, oh well, actually the price that we put on the paper on the announcement is only the price that you get because of certain like conditions. Like they added a bunch of asterisks to that price tag, and like it turns out that like what was supposed to be, for example, I'm just using this as an example because I can't remember the actual price. That was years ago. I don't know, what was supposed to be like $1,500 ended up being like almost $2,000 a month. And like 4 years ago, that it's just not feasible. Okay, like even now, like $2,000 a month, it's just not feasible. Sorry, it's just not a thing we can do. Nowadays, those same apartments 4 years later are probably closer to 2,500, to maybe more. God knows. Colorado was the same. It's like the friggin' airlines. 4 year later, perusal. Let me save this one.
The way Trump is.
Ah. Cool, I'm gonna save this. Put that in my watch later list.
Dollars per year.
Johnson says she's been hit with about $200 in unexpected fees each month.
So we have the smart home fees, the home filter fees. We also have the fee again because they don't allow you to change the water over to your name. So you pay an additional fee for that.
Cheryl writes she's forced to pay.
What? That's just like absurd. Like, oh yeah, a fee for this, a fee for that, a fee for the fee, and a FU fee for that as well. Just what's one more dollar fee gonna do? Like, yeah, the fee for the fee. Exactly.
For extras that I did not sign up for and do not want, such as air filter subscriptions.
In the course of its investigation, the FTC wanted to better understand the motivations of the company as it engaged in these unscrupulous business practices. So it looked into what the CEO was specifically telling his employees to do. And they found this startling admission.
It was the CEO of Invitation Homes who said we need to juice this hog. We need to squeeze renters for all of these fees. This was not a low-level employee. This was a deliberate corporate strategy that started at the top.
And that wasn't the only corporate strategy to juice earnings.
And we work with you to schedule routine maintenance visits twice a year.
And 24/7 emergency maintenance telephone support is available as well.
Invitation Homes promised quality inspections and constant support. In reality, the company practiced what the FTC found to be a deliberate pattern of ignoring maintenance requests, putting the health and safety of their renters at risk.
I had reported this, and you can see like it's cracking across the ceiling.
Yeah, so like basically the landlord special, right? Where you tell them about a problem and then they pretend to listen and never fix it, while they collect rent month after month after month. Yeah. Tracks. That tracks.
Water damage in here. You can actually see how bad it is here. This is so...
I'm gone. I'm sorry. Like, the first time, you know, with our luck, okay? With our luck, the first apartment that we ever had, the upstairs floor flooded, and our apartment got flooded. It got rained on by all this water from the upstairs, and the property manager was trying to tell us that, like, oh, don't worry, there's nothing to fix here. It's just a little bit of water damage. My brother in Christ, I can smell the humidity. Okay, the mold. Okay, I can smell it. This is not minor water damage. This is major. It was raining in the apartment. Okay, like what they really needed to do, and God knows what they ended up doing to that apartment. But what they needed to do was rip out all the freaking cabinets and do some major repair because there was some major water damage. Okay, and to the closet as well. Sniffer. And we got the heck out of there. Like, nope. Because sure enough, you know, after these people came in there and dried the whole place, you know, after the professionals came in and dried the whole place, they said there was major water damage. The landlord and the property manager weren't gonna fix it, so we got the heck out of there because, you know, there was mold in the AC closet, and that was already there. We didn't know about it until they pointed it out to us, the repair people. So nope, we're good on the landlord special, so we got out of there immediately. I've had a neighbor catch his kitchen on fire at midnight cooking a steak. That was a fun night. I got a million stories, man. Jesus Christ. And you know, the funny thing about that whole ordeal is that for all the water that was coming out of the freaking, like, it was coming out of like the lights, like the light fixtures, from the upstairs, and it was just coming through. For all that water, none of our stuff got messed up. The only thing that happened was that one of the legs of the table, which is here, by the way, it survived all the way up to here. The only thing that happened is one of the legs of the table got water, and it kind of, like, you know, got messed up. But like the rest of our stuff survived. Like not a thing happened to them. That's what's crazy about the whole thing.
It started to peel up.
The microwave didn't work. We had to repair that, had to get a new stove.
There were folks at the company who called their maintenance procedures a train wreck. They said it was the worst they had ever seen. What our investigation found is that more than 30,000 renters had complaints about maintenance within 1 week of moving in.
To boost their bottom line and
That's
meet
crazy.
investor targets, Invitation Homes prioritize profits over renters' rights. Every renter knows that if they take care of their home, they're entitled to get their security deposit back when their lease ends. But that's not the way it worked at Invitation Homes.
They said themselves, when it comes to security deposits, they knew they were upsetting tenants by withholding so much in security deposits, but they had to hit the numbers investors needed to see. And that's why Invitation Homes withheld 60% of the security deposits people made compared to a national average of 36%.
That's millions of dollars stolen from renters just because Invitation Homes thought they could get away with it. And during the
pandemic, that's the word. They stole it. 30K complaints. How many rentals do they have altogether? Yeah, indeed.
Pandemic, while Invitation Homes publicly touted their support for struggling tenants, they were actually finding ways to bypass the national eviction moratorium.
The way it worked is that people would
80K.
fill out a declaration that the CDC circulated, and that declaration would essentially give them the ability to stay in their homes through the duration of the moratorium. What Invitation Homes did is create their own separate form called a hardship affidavit, but it didn't have any effect. And then it went on to initiate evictions against many of these folks.
For those who are wronged or exploited by Invitation Homes, an urgent question remains. When will the FTC settlement reach their bank accounts?
We are not keeping that $48 million. That money is going back to consumers. We administer redress ourselves. We're not using a third-party contractor. And the reason we do that is we want to make sure every dime that we can get out the door back to renters, we will get out the door out to renters.
As corporate landlords increasingly control more of the housing market, renters have been saddled with higher rents and worsening conditions.
20, 30 years ago, your landlord might have lived upstairs. They might have lived next door. You probably knew them. In 2022, almost a third of single-family homes weren't sold to John and Nancy down the street. They were sold to institutional investors. This is big business. They have investors they need to answer to. They have numbers they need to meet. So many of the problems we see today are a direct result of that trend.
Corporate landlords have reshaped housing, but the government is pushing back. The FTC's $48 million case against Invitation Homes marks an important start to reshaping a housing market that puts people first. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos like this.
That's wild. It's absurd that, like, we just let slumlords, like, run roughshed like that. Is that going to finish with while Lina Khan is still commissioner? Good question. Good question. Given the fact that there's, 20 days, roughly, till the election, that is to be determined. That is to be determined. Chances are none of this is going to get resolved by then. Might already be determined. What you mean?
Finally, there is some move in the right direction here. So after over a year of flagrant violation of international humanitarian law by the Israeli government.
Just to be clear, like, until I see it, oh, okay, I see what you mean. I'm not convinced that Harris will keep Khan on. That would be a freaking mistake. That would be really, really, really angering. That would be angering. Yeah, Trump definitely won't. Trump definitely won't. I think Harris has to keep Khan to pay lip service to the working class.
Government, including investigations by international bodies like the International Court of Justice, flagrant violation of U.S. law as well as it applies to how the U.S. is supposed to condition military aid. The U.S. is finally signaling that it's going to put its foot down, potentially, I'll get to some of the wording in this, meaning an arms embargo on Israel if Israel does not comply to their requirements over the next 30 days. So I'm going to get to some of these details and what led up to this. So there has been discussions around this for a long time, really since February. There have been public discussions around how Israel has clearly been violating international law, and in particular U.S. law, as it applies to NSM 20, which is the policy around how the U.S. conditions military aid. So headline here from September 4th, from Common Dreams here. Groups say Biden's own policy requires U.S. to stop arming Israel. Quote, international and U.S. law, as well as your administration's policies, including NSM 20, require suspending weapons transfers to the Israeli government. It is very clear, based on Israel's own actions, that they have been in violation of this, and the U.S. has been, regardless, still supporting them despite those clear violations. Most Americans, this from September 10th, from The Intercept, most Americans want to stop arming Israel. Politicians don't care. So they cite several polls here, including one from June, a CBS poll that showed 61% of all Americans said the U.S. should not send weapons to Israel, including 77% of Democrats and nearly 40% of Republicans. Supporting Israel in their ongoing mass atrocity is not a popular position. AOC, this came yesterday, which may mean she knew this was coming or just coincidence here, but writing the horrors unfolding in northern Gaza are the result of a completely unrestrained Netanyahu government, fully armed by the Biden administration, while food aid is...
Yeah, I'm taking this as hopium. Until I see it, it's hopium. But that's basically how I'm taking this. If it's true that these conversations are happening, where they are mulling over, even putting on the table, putting an embargo or stop the transfer of weapons to Israel, I think that's good. But until I actually see it, I'm not gonna hold my breath. You think it's fake? I'm more cynical about if you don't do better, we'll do something after the election. I'm more cynical about if you don't do better, we'll do something after the election.
Blocked and patients are bombed in hospitals. This is a genocide of Palestinians. The U.S. must stop enabling it. Arms embargo now. Which leads to this story that broke today, just before the letter that I'll get to. From Common Dreams, Israeli NGOs implore world governments to prevent ethnic cleansing of northern Gaza. States have an obligation to prevent the crimes of starvation and forcible transfer, said 4 leading human rights groups based in Israel. Finally, this gets to the news. Barak Ravid of Axios breaking the story.
Arms embargo is better than ceasefire. That never had a chance.
Secretary of State Blinken and Secretary of Defense Austin sent a letter on Monday to Israel.
Clearly, that's what needs to happen, right? Clearly, that's what needs to happen. If Netanyahu is not going to stop, if Netanyahu is not going to stop this ethnic cleansing, then we don't need to be supporting them with weapons and aid.
Demanding it takes steps within 30 days to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza in order to avoid consequences in U.S. law for U.S. military aid to Israel. See the letter here. So I read through this letter, and some of the wording, in particular one sentence, makes me raise some questions. I'll get to that in a minute.
We cannot wake up the morning after Election Day wishing we had done more. The truth is a donation.
But
yeah, that's funny. You should say that, Kamala. Negotiations were always fake. Israel kills negotiators. He won't stop. No, I don't think he will. I don't think he will. So if he doesn't want to, if he won't stop, then we have no business to continue to give him weapons, right? So like if there isn't going to be a ceasefire, then an arms embargo or any cease of transfer of weapons to Israel is basically like the move, right? It's the only thing that we could do as far as like if no soft power is going to stop Netanyahu, then like, you know what, we don't have to be a part of this. Enough is enough. This has been going on for an untold amount of time, and you know what, we don't have to be a part of this. We shouldn't be a part of this. Arms embargo now.
The letter is, the intent here is to improve the dire humanitarian conditions in Gaza. And if they don't do that, then again, they risk supply of U.S. weapons to Israel, meaning an arms embargo. Now, this is under what I discussed earlier. NSM 20, countries that receive U.S. military aid and are in active military conflict must allow the transfer of U.S.-supported humanitarian aid without interruption, according to U.S. law and national security.
Right, and that's already been broken. That's already been broken. The grounds for an arms embargo has been there for a while now, okay?
Security in a national security memorandum signed by Biden in February, and failure to do so could suspend or could lead to the suspension of U.S. military aid. And last March, showing you how long this has been going on, at least in terms of how it's been acknowledged publicly, last March, the Israeli government sent a written commitment to Biden that they will be abiding by the terms. The terms in the U.S. law and the NSM 20. And they have not been abiding by those terms. So this entire time, since March, there's been an acknowledgement by Israel that they are doing this, and they have not been doing this. And finally now, in October, there is a 30-day window here for Israel to comply. I'm not sure why it took this long, but we're still, again, this is moving in the right direction. I just don't, there is no justification for it having taken this long when they've been violating it this entire year. Now, in the letter, they go on to write, the amount of assistance entering Gaza in September was the lowest of any month during the past year. It's possible that's why this was decided on now, because things have not been improving in any way. To reverse the downward humanitarian trajectory as consistent with its assurances to us, Israel must, starting now and within 30 days, act on the following concrete measures. And I'll go on to discuss some of those in a minute here, but this is the wording that has me a little worried.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I don't think they're interested in improving humanitarian conditions. Cognizant, welcome. The weapons industry disagrees so that they can push it beyond the election, obviously.
They write, failure to demonstrate a sustained commitment to implementing and maintaining these measures may have implications for U.S. policy. I don't understand why this is may have and not will have. I know it seems petty, it's one word, but that word makes a difference. May have opens the door for them, for the U.S. not doing anything. Because it may have implications. No, why not will have implications if you do not abide by what we are asking?
Because the cop-out is put in place. The cop-out is put in place. If this, like I said, until I actually see something, until I actually see something, I'm not gonna hold my, I'm not gonna hold my breath. I may have a good day tomorrow. This is exactly why I'm not gonna hold my breath. But the point being is that like this continues to, like, this needs to be talked about. And like the more it's out there in the mainstream, like the more people are aware of it, the more these ghouls know that we know. This is the reason why people think politicians are slimy. Yep.
So again, I have to be skeptical here because it's been this long without any changes. So to finally see this, and again, a move in the right direction, I still have to question how committed they are to it when some of the
Wolfglen, welcome. Yep, pigs may fly tomorrow. Yep, may. Because Biden and Kamala are such dumb, stupid, arrogant idiots. They think that they will help the election while they do nothing. Yeah, I think that like it would be short-sighted not to address this, but I've got a feeling that Kamala is not gonna budge much on this one. Cosmopolitics rating with a party of 13. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for bringing your wonderful community, and thank you for rating. I appreciate it, folks. If you if you haven't already, please go and check out twitch.tv/cosmopolitics and go follow and go support her as well, and go check out. I believe she also does a movie podcast as well. Thank you. If you haven't seen me before, I'm A Difficult Truth. I do the news. I do the politics. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you enjoy your stay, hit the follow button. If you enjoy your stay, hit the follow button. Thank you.
Phrasing seems a bit off here. But they go on to ask for a permanent transfer of aid trucks daily to the Gaza Strip, as well as through all 4 border crossings and opening a 5th border crossing. Also calling for humanitarian pauses to allow that aid to go through for at least the next 4 months. I'm not sure why there's a limit put on that. U.S. also demands Israel allow Palestinians to move east, away from the coastal area.
Oh, and go follow her on Twitter, too.
Before the winter. Again, just showcasing how much power Israel has over the movement of Palestinians within what is supposed to be their own land. Blinken and Austin also demanded Israel ends the isolation of northern Gaza Strip and officially announced it has no policy of forced evacuation of Palestinians from northern Gaza. I touched on this in a video yesterday. There have been, so since October 1st, there has been no aid into northern Gaza. That may have changed now. I'm not sure where this aid went exactly. But CNN writing here, Israel appears to already be responding to the letter, at least indirectly. So just one day after the letter was sent, an Israeli agency that manages policy for Palestinian territories and the flow of aid into the Strip tweeted photos of aid going into Gaza. So, and to be clear, this is the front they want to put on, right? So they're going to, at least publicly, in some ways, act like they are abiding by this. Even if they may be they may be abiding by this letter, but we're one day in. And other reporting again indicated that there was no aid coming into at least northern Gaza since October 1st. They're now implying that they are entering northern Gaza with aid. It's possible that changed yesterday. So again, forgive me for not trusting, these agencies after what we've seen over the past year. So I hope.
Yeah, I don't. Until I see it. I'm not really gonna hold my breath. Technically, we don't give very much money to Israel. We provide Israel a line of credit at Boeing and Raytheon. That money doesn't actually leave the country until Raytheon and Boeing move it offshore for tax purposes. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's like the long of it, right? The long explanation of it.
This is happening. I hope these steps are taken.
Because really, it's the defense industry that gets all that money, right? Because all that is just to manufacture the bombs and weapons that get transferred over. So yeah.
It seems very unlikely, based on what Netanyahu has been saying, based on what the Israeli government has been doing, that they're going to abide by all of the asks from the
Edo and Chocolate Mints. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome.
U.S. government. So if they do some of it or do a bit of it half-assed, is that going to be enough?
Nope.
For the Biden administration to say, okay, that's fine. We're not going to impose an arms embargo because, again, the language there is may. This may have an impact. I don't know. But again, I'm just looking at history and basing my assumptions off of what we've seen up to this point. My hope is that there will be a arms embargo because I find it very unlikely that that Israel is going to completely reverse course on what they've been doing in Gaza. Also, point here, this is a point worth mentioning. Multiple U.S. agencies, including the USAID and the State Department's Refugee Bureau, recommended ending weapons to Israel months ago for these violations. Blinken ignored them and lied to Congress about their findings. So, referring to this from this report from ProPublica that broke the story, September 24th, Israel deliberately blocked humanitarian aid to Gaza. 2 government bodies concluded. Antony Blinken rejected them. And now, finally, he is acknowledging the reality. The 30-day, I agree with him. There should not be a 30-day window here. This should have been implemented months ago when it was clear that Israel was in violation of this. That said, this is their policy now. So we're going to see over the next 30 days if there's going to be a shift either by Israel or by the U.S. in their...
Blinken belongs in The Hague and then in hell. Then that still might be too good for people like him. Bagels, yeah. Oversized bagel slicer. All these ghouls. That's too good for them.
They're the way they discuss Israel as an ally, because up to this point they have been incredibly defensive of all of Israel's actions. I also think this potentially, looking at the upcoming election, because we're talking 30 days, that's past the election. This potentially helps Kamala Harris in her campaign if this is a way for her to finally discuss an arms embargo in a real way, where this is, she is the VP. This is now on the table. She should be willing, hopefully, to at least discuss this and have a bit of a shift towards her attitude when discussing Israel on the campaign trail, because that has clearly been hurting her campaign. We've seen polls tighten over the past month as she has turned to campaigning more towards, as the media calls it, the center. It's campaigning
the right.
Towards the right, embracing endorsements like Dick Cheney. Ever since doing that and trying to appeal more to conservative voters, her polls have come down. Because why would a conservative vote for Kamala Harris when they could vote for Donald Trump?
Right.
The way you win as a Democrat is through turnout, bringing out more people to vote who would vote Democrat if they felt inclined to, if they felt like you were actually speaking to them. But Kamala Harris made the opposite turn, and it's been hurting her. So this could potentially be a way for her to signal a real change, especially when you have... This is a candidate who discusses her history in law enforcement and how important it is to, uphold what's right and uphold the law.
Yeah, well, uphold this law.
Why doesn't that apply to international law? This would be a great way for her to be able to differentiate herself from Donald Trump, who is a criminal, is a felon, and apply this sort of principle across the board. But so far, we've seen a complete failing of that, this unwillingness to criticize what is a government in Israel committing genocide and the U.S. support and funding of that. But maybe this will signal a change.
Maybe, but I wouldn't hold my breath, honestly. Can't convince conservatives with facts. True. Israel's not a positive for this country, not economically or any other way. For the sake of memes, we should probably cover this, right? If you think that this is a bit, it isn't. It isn't.
This magical amulet. Hello.
I'm sorry. This is just hilarious. Okay? It is a long con. This dude's been at it. He's using a radio mic. I know! It's so absurd! It's so absurd. It just gets funnier the more you watch it. Honestly. Welcome, Elron.
Hello, I'm just back from Narnia, where I had a holiday, Mr. Tumnus, Aslan, all those guys. And as you know, airports are places full of Wi-Fi and all sorts of evil energies. Think of all the phones out there, all of the signals, corruptible and corrupting. Luckily, I wear this magical amulet from AirsTech that keeps me safe from all of the various signals out there. And also means, look at this, look how strong I am. I think this is making me more powerful, as a matter of fact. Look at that. This stuff is absolutely packed with AirsTech. I didn't even bring any socks or toothbrush or dog meat or anything like that. Just completely full of AirsTech. You should get one as well, particularly if you're planning to go to an airport anytime soon, because the bloody things are full of lethal signals. AirsTech, a glorious amulet.
Yeah, we're literally at like 5G QAnon conspiracy theory levels right now. Yeah. That's so absurd. It's so absurd. No, it's not a bit, unfortunately. I'm not sure if it's a joke and he hasn't broken character yet. No, this is not a bit, unfortunately. I think he's doing this for real. Whether or not he believes any of this, who God knows, this is a grift. But he's putting, his acting to use. I thought about, how do I know conservatives aren't right? Well, they deny climate change. They're against affordable health care. They want to abolish minimum wage. They don't believe in evolution. They're Christian cultists, and they're literally insane. These are the mainstream positions. Yeah, they are. Where can I book that trip, and where do they sell this magical amulet? Do I have to give my soul? No, just a $270, I believe, is the price tag for this. Just $270, not your soul, but yeah.
To protect you from corrupting signals. Hello, I'm
sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't with this. I just can't. I'm sorry, 240 per amulet, not 270. I apologize. Liberals dumped him for being a rapist, but he knows the Christians' right will throw money at him. Yep. Right. Exactly. So, yeah, just whatever you do, don't talk about all my allegations. Don't talk about all my allegations. Look, I'm a Christian now. I'm an evangelical now. Look at me. Just whatever you do, just don't talk about my allegations. Small price to pay for whatever he's promising. Pay no attention to what I was just doing in the bushes. Yeah, like, this is so just like, you would think that this was some kind of joke. But it's not. It's to sell this real grift here for $240, and yeah. Protect me from corruption. Trump could use them. Yeah, for $240. That's it. Okay, that's all. That's his house. He might have lost it during the pandemic. Does he have a brain worm now? I don't know, but that would be like the icing on the cake, right? If we find out that because of all this, he ended up eating, I don't know, raw milk or something. Because of all this, like, right-wing turn that he's had to do. He ends up with a brain worm. That would not surprise me at all. Can I get the full ad of this? Because there's more, by the way. Okay, let me see if I can find the full ad. No, I think it's just this. I think it's just this. This is the
Hello,
official.
I'm just back from Narnia, where I had a holiday, Mr. Tumnus, Aslan, all those guys. And as you know, airports are places full of Wi-Fi and all sorts of evil energies. Think of all the phones out there, all of the signals, corruptible and corrupting. Luckily, I wear this magical amulet from AirTech that keeps me safe from all of the various signals out there. And also means, look at this, look how strong I am. I think this is making me more powerful, as a matter of fact. Look at that. This stuff is absolutely packed with AirTech. I didn't even bring any socks or toothbrush or dog meat.
Germans have...
Hello, I'm just back from Narnia, where I had a holiday, Mr. Tum.
Yeah, the evil energies. Look, here, that's on the official account. Airports are not full of Wi-Fi. That's the problem. Their Wi-Fi is terrible. Oh, it doesn't matter. Like, you know. Shop all. Where's the amulet? Okay, show me the amulet. There it is. Oh no, that's what. Okay, this you put on your devices. Gotcha. I mean, a lot of time, a conversion or reversion is pretty superficial or just a way to get easy followers. Uh-oh. Looks like the grift page is kind of broken. Anyways. I want a list of all his buyers. I have some magical beans to sell them. Just make sure that, like, you tell them that the beans protect them from, like, from Wi-Fi or something. I don't know, from 5G. They're special, like, 5G absorbing beans, and they'll buy it. Ah, he's back from Narnia. That's how you know he's lying. Doesn't apply to international law because internationally, U.S. essentially a judge dread. True. I just can't believe Kasparin's going after Grifter. Is going Grifter after making fun of Dave Rubin for grifting for years. What would Michael Brooks think? Rowan, honestly, like, seriously. Must be a front page site. Yeah. He's just ahead of the curve. He's found God before going to prison. It saves time. Those little cold wire things used to be $10. He ate too much Turkish delight. I'm easily convinced by any graphic design that looks like it's from a MacBook screensaver from 2010. I feel like we're missing something. Maybe there was an inside joke or something. You know, I wish, because like in a normal rational world, like you would think that this is just a joke, but you know, those days are over. So, those days are over. So I think Those days are over. So I think he's like he's grifting, but it's real. Like he's really shilling this to anybody who would dish out 200 and whatever dollars. Get your knight to protect you from the evil energies. Anna's $1 million cul-de-sac house must be getting money. All right, folks, we got to run through these headlines. We couldn't cover this yesterday, but we'll do this here. Trees and land absorbed almost no carbon last year. Is nature's carbon sink failing? Hey, that's a problem. That's a really big problem. It begins each day at nightfall as the light disappears. Billions of zooplankton, crustaceans, and other marine organisms rise to the ocean surface to feed on microscopic algae, returning to the depths at sunrise. The waste from this frenzy, Earth's largest migration of creatures, sinks to the ocean floor, moving millions of tons of carbon from the atmosphere each year. This activity is one of thousands of nature's processes that regulate Earth's climate. Together, the planet's oceans, forests, soils, and other natural carbon sinks absorb about half of all human emissions. But as Earth heats up, scientists are increasingly concerned that those crucial processes are breaking down. In 2023, the hottest year ever recorded, preliminary findings by an international team of researchers showed the amount of carbon absorbed by land has temporarily collapsed. The final result was that forests, plants, and soil as a net category absorbed almost no carbon. That's not great. That's not good. Not good, really. Not at all. The common thread is that narcissists are often con men, so grifting is part of their personality disorder. I mean, this dude strikes me as exactly that. This dude strikes me like Russell Brand. Bro's got a cult leader messiah complex, no doubt. Yep, sorry, no service were full of the trees. That is indeed a problem. There are warning signs at C2. Greenland's glaciers and Arctic ice sheets are melting faster than expected, which is disrupting the Gulf Stream ocean current and slows the rate at which the ocean absorbs the carbon. For algae-eating zooplankton, melting ice is exposing them to more sunlight. A shift scientists say could keep them in the depths for longer, disrupting the vertical migration that stores the carbon on the ocean floor. We're seeing cracks in the resilience of the Earth system. We're seeing massive cracks on land. Terrestrial ecosystems are losing their carbon store and carbon uptake capacity, but the oceans are also showing signs of instability. As said Johan Rockström, director of the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, told an event in New York at New York Climate Week in September. Like, by the way, and like the ocean is incredibly like important because the ocean is where like a lot of the heat is being absorbed. So yeah. My concern is the ratio of CO2 absorbed to O2 produced. Personally, I like breathing. Well, if there's no CO2 being absorbed, then conversely, there's no O2 being produced. So, yeah. It's just a bit of a problem, you know? It's just a tiny problem. The 2023 breakdown of land carbon sink could be temporary. Without the pressures of drought of wildfires, land would return to absorbing carbon again, but it demonstrates the fragility of these ecosystems with massive implications for the climate crisis. Reaching net zero is impossible without nature. In the absence of technology that can remove atmospheric carbon on a large scale, the Earth's vast forests, grasslands, peat bogs, and oceans are the only options for absorbing human carbon pollution, which reached a record of 37 billion tons in 2023. At least 118 countries are relying on the land to meet national climate targets, but rising temperatures, increased extreme weather, and droughts are pushing the ecosystems into uncharted territory. That kind of rapid land sink collapse seen in 2023 has not been factored into most climate models. If it continues, it could raise the prospect of rapid global heating beyond what the models have predicted. So that's cool. That's nice. The Atlantic current destabilizing. The Atlantic current destabilized. You can't actually get that back. Yeah. I mean to be anti-fascist. I mean fashion. But is anyone else put off by the white T-shirt Russell always wears that cuts way too low? I'm interested in none of all that. Yeah, his wardrobe choices are, what's the word I would use? Gross. He's gross. Yeah, that's right on the nose. Greasy. Yeah. The stressed planet has been silently helping us and allowing us to shove our debt under the carpet thanks to biodiversity, said Rockstrom. We are lulled into a comfort zone. We cannot really see the crisis. Only one major tropical rainforest, the Congo Basin, remains a strong carbon sink that removes more than it releases into the atmosphere. Exacerbated by El Niño weather patterns, deforestation, and global heating, the Amazon basin is experiencing a record-breaking drought, with rivers at an all-time low. Expansion of agriculture has turned tropical rainforests in the southeast into a net source of emissions in recent years. Emissions from soil, which is the second largest carbon active store after oceans, are expected to increase by as much as 40% by the end of the century if they continue on the current rate, as soil becomes drier and microbiomes break them down faster. As microbes break them down faster. Tim Lenton, professor of climate change and Earth Systems Science at Exeter University, says we're seeing in the biosphere some surprising responses that are not that's not what got predicted, just as we are in the climate. Quote, you have to question, to what degree can we rely on them as carbon sinks or carbon stores? A paper published in July found that while total amount of carbon absorbed by forests between 1990 and 2016 was steady, it varied substantially by region. The boreal forests, home to about a third of all carbon found on land, which stretch across Russia, Scandinavia, Canada, and Alaska, has seen a sharp fall in the amount of carbon they absorb, down more than a third due to the climate crisis-related beetle outbreaks, fire, and clearing for timber. Yikes. Combined with the declining resilience of the Amazon and drought conditions in part of the tropics, the hot conditions in the northern forests helped drive the collapse of the land sink in 2023, causing a spike in the rate of atmospheric carbon. Beetle outbreaks, yeah, they're destroying the trees. They're destroying the forests. Which also, I imagine, the beetles are able to beetles are able to do more damage because it's warmer, which favors them. Environmental pollutions and problems are pretty worrying. Ideally, it should be bipartisan, even if you're far right and deny climate change. Keeping rivers clean, yeah, but like the far right is just gone. Is just gone on that. Like their solution is just like kill brown people. So yeah. Bhutan started selling their lumber to the UK as biomass fuel. Like what the actual F? Bhutan is one of the few places on the planet that has been consistent carbon sink. Sheesh. Under normal and rational thinking, governments across the planet would be working together for the sake of everybody, but you know, it's not happening. Capitalism is a death cult. Yep, I agree. And we're all along for the ride, whether or not we like it. Whether we like it or not. I've learned in the last years more to forest ecology than if it has a lot of trees for a lot of forest in the Northeast. U.S., for example, is basically non-functioning as ecosystems because of invasive species. Yeah, that's also very true. And a lot of that is our fault. Combined with the declining resilience of the Amazon and drought conditions in part of the tropics, the hot conditions in the northern forest helped drive the collapse of the land sink in 2023, causing a spike in the rate of atmospheric carbon. In 2023, the accumulation of carbon in the atmosphere is very high, and this translates to a very low absorption by the terrestrial biosphere, said Philippe Sias, a researcher at the French Laboratory of Climate and Environmental Sciences, who is the author of the most recent paper. In the northern hemisphere, where you have more than half of CO2 uptake, We have seen a decline in the absorption of for 8 years. There is no good reason to believe it will bounce back. That's not very assuring. The oceans, nature's largest absorber of carbon, have soaked up 90% of the warming of the fossil fuels in recent decades, driving a rise in sea temperatures. Studies have found signs that this is weakening the ocean carbon sink. The flow of the carbon throughout the land and ocean remains one of the least understood parts of climate science as researchers. While human emissions are increasingly simple to measure, the sheer number and complexity of processes in the natural world mean there are important gaps in our understanding. Satellite technology have improved monitoring of forests, peatlands, permafrost, and ocean cycles, but assessments and forecasts in international reports have often large error margins. That makes it difficult to predict how the world's natural carbon sinks will behave in the future, and means many models do not factor in a sudden breakdown of multiple ecosystems. Right, and knowing this, we should probably operate on the things that we do know, right? Because it's true, this is very, the Earth's systems are very complex. So we should probably operate on the information that we do know. And the fact of the matter is, we are driving the climate crisis. And the fact of the matter is, we just need to, the carbon emissions need to stop. Carbon emissions need to cease. And there needs to be a dramatic reduction in fossil fuels. Like, it needs to stop effectively. And there needs to be a Herculean effort across the planet to do so. That's what we know, and that's what we can control as of right now as a species if we wanted to. But that's not happening. Imagine the old forest before the Europeans showed up, where you could walk on a soft carpet between the trees with no undergrowth, animals wandering, and birds. Yep. Starting with the most invasive species, humans. Overall, models agreed that both land sink and ocean sink are going to decrease in the future as a result of climate change, but there is a question of how quickly that will happen. The model showed this happening rather slowly over the next 100 years or so, said Professor Andrew Watson, head of the Exeter University's Marine and Atmospheric Science Group. This might happen a lot quicker. He says climate scientists are worried about the climate change not because of the things that are in the models, but the knowledge that the models are missing certain things. Many of Earth's latest Earth system models used by scientists include some of the effects of global heating on nature, factoring in impacts such as dieback of the Amazon or slowing ocean currents. But events that have become major sources of emissions in recent years have not been incorporated. None of these models have factored in losses like extreme factors, which have been observed, such as wildfires in Canada last year that amounted to 6 months of U.S. fossil emissions. 2 years before, we wrote a paper that found that Siberia also lost the same amount of carbon. Another process which is absent from the climate models is basic fact that trees die from drought. This is observed, and none of the models have drought-induced mortality in their representation of land sink. The fact that the models are lacking these factors probably makes them too optimistic. The consequences for climate targets are stark. Even a modest weakening of nature's ability to absorb carbon would mean that the world would have to make deeper cuts into greenhouse gas emissions to achieve net zero. The weakening of land sinks, which has so far been regional, has also effects of canceling out nations' progress on decarbonization and progress towards climate goals, something that is proving a struggle for many countries. I wonder why. can't see fossil fuels being curtailed until about 6 billion people die off and corporations start to lose all of their employees. I suppose they'll be kings of ashes, I guess. I guess they can have their ash kingdom. Finland, which has the most ambitious carbon neutrality target in the developed world, has seen its once huge land sink vanish in recent years, meaning that despite reducing its emissions across all industries by 43%, the country's total emissions have stayed unchanged. So far, these changes are regional. Some countries, such as China and the US, are not yet experiencing such declines. The issues of natural sinks haven't been really thought about properly in political and government fields. It's been assumed that natural sinks are always going to be with us. The truth is, we don't really understand them, and we don't know, and we don't think they're always going to be with us. What happens if the natural sinks, which they've previously relied on, stop working because of climate change? In recent years, several estimates have been published on how the world could increase the amount of carbon that its forests and natural ecosystems absorb. But many researchers say the real challenge is protecting the carbon sinks and stores we already have by halting deforestation, cutting emissions, and ensuring they are as healthy as possible. We shouldn't rely on natural forests to do the job. We really have to tackle the big issue, fossil fuel emissions across all sectors, said Professor Pierre Fieldstring of Exeter University, who oversees the annual global carbon budget calculations. We can't assume that we have forests and the forest will remove some CO2 because it's not going to work in the long term. Clams, yep. Ecocide in Gaza is completely heartbreaking already. Had almost no environmental protection programs, but after a year of bombs, misfires, pollution, the fish aren't even edible, making famines worse. I don't doubt it. Remember the factory in Tennessee that forced their workers to work up until the last second, up until it was too late before the hurricane came, and as a result, some of them have died. Well, one of the families is suing. One of the families is suing. It's already too late. The tundras are melting and releasing untold amount of carbon into the atmosphere. Yeah, I guess when we factor that in, we'll know how we'll know how even more screwed we are. Anyway, the situation is beyond screwed, to put it lightly. I've been beating the same drum for quite a while now. Impact Plastics and CEO Gerald O'Connor sued by family of worker killed by Hurricane Helene. Impact Plastics and its CEO Gerald O'Connor have been sued by the family of one of its Tennessee employees who was killed by the catastrophic flooding caused by Hurricane Helene. The wrongful death suit claims that the workers were forced to stay at their posts even when managers knew conditions were growing dangerous. Johnny Peterson was among the Impact Plastics employees who died on September 27th after Helene's flooding hit Erwin, a small rural town in eastern Tennessee. Many of the surviving employees have stated they were not allowed to leave the plant in time to avoid the storm's impact. Instead, it wasn't until the water had flooded the plant's parking lot and the power went out that the manager sent the workers home. It's not worth your life, folks. It really isn't. What if the systems they are modeling act more like living things, collapsing or dying suddenly? Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's exactly how it should be taken, actually. If you think about it. Yeah, can we leave? I have to ask Jerry. 10 minutes later and flooded. Yes. Yep. Yep. Would basically need to reinforce Russia, the upper half of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta to even start catching up. Oh yeah, and reduce our reliance on carbon fuels, fossil fuels, and like 10,000 other things. Yes, they shouldn't have made it. They shouldn't have made them come into work. To be honest, yeah, like. At all. That day, they should have not been able to go to work. They shouldn't have gone to work. Which, again, it's not worth it, folks. Okay? It's not worth it. If something like this is coming down the path, it's not worth it. Okay? It's just not. Middle managers are lethal. While most business in the area shut down to protect their employees, Impact Plastics and Mr. O'Connor chose profit. The raging water swept 11 people away and only 5 were rescued. 2 of them are confirmed dead and are part of a toll across 6 states of nearly 250 dead. 4 others from the factory are still missing after they washed away in Irwin, where dozens of people about a mile away were also rescued off the roof of a hospital. Based on information we've uncovered, including accounts from surviving employees, we believe this tragedy could have been avoided, said Alex Little, an attorney representing the Peterson family, said in a statement. Impact Plastics was aware of the flood risks, and while employees requested permission to leave, the company failed to act. We will hold them accountable. That's right. Disney World was open until 7 hours before Milton. Health insurance tied to employers' blackmail. I agree. 100%. The lawsuit claims that while local schools and other businesses announced closures because of Hurricane Helene, Impact Plastics instructed its employees to report to work because the company wanted to meet order deadlines. Yeah. One employee told CBS Morning this month that the deaths of his coworkers was senseless. Everyone was in pure panic mode, not knowing what to do. Impact Plastics employee Richard Jarvis told CBS, "We had no evacuation plan whatsoever." O'Connor's attorney did not immediately respond to an email requesting comment on Tuesday. The suit also provides a sobering breakdown of Peterson's final moments with his family, including text messages revealing his fears that he would not escape the floodwaters. As hours prior, the lawsuit says employees began receiving notifications at around 10 a.m., urging all those who could evacuate to higher ground. At 10:30, employees were instructed to move their cars because the parking lot was flooding. Like, I'm sorry. The moment you get like a notification that like anybody who's there needs to head to higher ground, like that's the last call, man. That's it. That's it. The lawsuit goes on to claim that senior management, including O'Connor, had stealthily exited the building around 11:35 a.m. Yeah, that freaking tracks. And employees believed they were dismissed from work. Peterson, who had stepped outside, went back into the building to help employees trapped inside, but eventually became trapped himself after the water made it impossible to leave by car. Peterson managed to climb onto a bed of a semi-trailer attempting to escape the area, but by 1 p.m. the parking lot was completely submerged, toppling telephone poles and caving in the walls of the Impact Plastic building. Like, no, your life is not worth it, okay? Like, you're going to come back to no job anyways, okay? Because guess what? Impact Plastics doesn't exist anymore, okay? Johnny knew he could not survive much longer as the water levels continued to swell and pummel the semi-trailer. He texted his daughter for the last time at 1:17 p.m., quote, "I love you all," and he managed to type out. This was the last text Alexa Peterson received from her father, the lawsuit stated. Johnny's father tried in desperation to reach emergency services, but could not. At 1:27, he asked his son, "You okay?" To which the son responded, "Not for long." This was the last text Johnny sent to anyone. The lawsuit alleges Impact Plastics and O'Connor's actions represent a gross deviation from the standard of care that an ordinary person would exercise under all the circumstances. The lawsuit comes after Tennessee Bureau of Investigation announced earlier this month that it was investigating allegations involving Impact Plastics at the direction of the local prosecutor. The state's Workplace Safety Office also opened its own probe into the circumstances behind the deaths. I hope this guy gets what he deserves. You know? And if the legal system won't deliver on that, then you know what? I hope the CEO O'Connor, I hope he gets the life he deserves. This is what late end-stage capitalism results in. Yeah. I live in South Orange County, California. About 10 years ago, a large brush fire was burning near my house. As I drove to work across the street was a fire. Turned around, called HR to tell everyone they had a free PTO day. There was a major issue with the air conditioning filters and smoke. Yep. Nope. I'm out of there. I'm out of there. Good call. Capitalism doesn't give an issue about you. You're a human resource, nothing more. Jail and then hell, and even that is too good. Meanwhile, O'Connor said no employee were forced to keep working and they were evacuated at least 45 minutes before the massive flood hit the industrial park. Nah, go F yourself. Nah, come on, man. Nah. Impact Plastics had maintained that it monitored weather conditions on September 27th and that managers dismissed employees when the water began to cover the parking lot and adjacent service road and the plant lost power. It was too freaking late by then, man. By the time this happened, it was too late, okay? When the water was covering the parking lot, when the water was starting to flood the parking lot, it was too late. They should have evacuated when they got those notifications. And if it's true that they were monitoring the weather, then they should have known that and should have dismissed the employees an hour and a half before this happened. Unbelievable. So we've got two more. We're going to just speed run these. We're going to speed run these. North Carolina governor candidate Mark Robinson sues CNN over the report about the, So remember how we went over parts of the dossier that came out on this guy about what he was saying in adult sites? We're just going to go over this really quickly. Mini Soldier. North Carolina, now he's going to try to sue CNN for this, which is hilarious. North Carolina Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson sued CNN on Tuesday over its recent report that he made explicit racial and sexual posts on a adult site message board, calling the reporting reckless and defamatory. Well, I'm sure Mini Soldier is going to come with all the receipts showing that he in fact did not do this, even though it's him. Okay. Like the report we saw was pretty freaking solid. It's him. Yeah, he used his full real name, and like the email accounts, that same Mini Soldier username popping up everywhere related to his name. Like, come on, man. The lawsuit filed in Wake County Superior Court comes in less than 4 weeks after the report led many fellow GOP elected officials and candidates, including presidential nominee Donald Trump, to distance themselves from Mark Robinson's gubernatorial campaign. Not see this will be my governor next month. Well, crossing fingers that he's not. It looks pretty solid that he's probably gonna lose. Yeah, the same uncommon phrases. I mean, like, the evidence was pretty freaking, like, overwhelming. Like, we saw the reporting. We saw the little dossier, and I put it on the Discord as well. It's him. It's him. It's him. But I guess he wants to throw away money at some frivolous lawsuit that's not going to go his way anyways. We have good news coming out of Georgia, presumably. We'll keep an eye out on this because this has been something we've been following throughout this election season. Georgia judge rules that county election officials must certify the election results. This just happened yesterday. Georgia judge has ruled county election officials must certify election results by the deadline set in law and cannot exclude votes from certification even if they suspect error or fraud. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney ruled late Monday that no election superintendent or member of a board of elections and registration may refuse to certify or abstain from certifying election results under any circumstances. While they are entitled to inspect the conduct of an election and review related documents, any delay in receiving such information is not a basis for refusing to certify the election results or abstaining from doing so. Georgia law says county election superintendents, generally multi-member boards, shall certify election results by 5 p.m. on Monday after an election, or the Tuesday if Monday is a holiday, as it is this year. Early in-person voting began Tuesday in Georgia, McBurney heard arguments in a separate case that is one of the several challenging rules recently adopted by the state election board. The certification ruling stemmed from a lawsuit filed by Julie Adams, a Republican member of the election board in Fulton County, which includes most of the city of Atlanta and is a Democratic stronghold. Adams sought a declaration that her duties as an election board member were discretionary and that she is entitled to full access to election material. Yeah, whatever, dude. Long and administrative task that attracted little attention, certification of election results has been politicized since then. President Trump has tried to overturn his loss to Democrat Joe Biden in the 2020 general. Republicans in several swing states, including Adams, refused to certify results earlier this year, and some have sued to keep from being forced to sign off on election results. Democrats, liberal voting rights groups, and some legal experts have raised concerns that Trump's allies could refuse to certify results if the former president loses to Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris in next month's presidential election. They have also argued that new rules enacted by the Trump-endorsed majority on the state election board could be used to stop or delay certification and to undermine public confidence in the results. Yeah, that's kind of the point. It's exactly the play. Adams' suit, backed by the Trump-aligned America First Policy Institute, argued county election board members have the discretion to reject certification. In court earlier this month, her lawyers argued that county election officials could certify results without including certain ballots if they suspect problems. No. Judge McBurney wrote that nothing in Georgia law gives county election officials that authority to determine that fraud has occurred or what should be done about it. Instead, he wrote, state law says a county election official's concerns about fraud or systemic error to be noted and shared with the appropriate authorities, but they are not a basis for superintendent to decline or superintendent to decline to certify. Both sides in the fight over certification claim McBurney's ruling as a victory. The Democratic National Committee and Democratic Party of Georgia has joined the lawsuit as defendants with support of with the support of the Harris campaign. The campaign has called the ruling a major legal win. Adams said in a statement that McBurney's ruling has made it clear that she and other county officials cannot be barred from access to elections in their county. Yeah, that's not what people are saying. The problem is that you want to delay the certification of results so that you can sow doubt on the election. Okay. During Tuesday's hearing, a lawyer for Cobb County Election Board read McBurney's ruling in the certification case back to him. The certainty of the electoral process that these laws have long brought to Georgia's voters had begun to unravel as key participants in the state election management system have increasingly sought to impose their own rules and approaches that are either inconsistent or flatly contrary to the letter of these laws. The Cobb Board is asking McBurney to declare 6 rules recently adopted by the state election board invalid, saying that they exceed the state board's authority when adopted in compliance with the law and are unreasonable. Most of the arguments focused on a rule that requires 3 separate poll workers to count the election paper ballots, but not votes, by hand after polls close. Michael Kaplan, a lawyer for the Cobb Election Board, said the rules requirements are murky and there's been no training on a rule that is to take effect 2 weeks before Election Day. Quote, that is the problem we face, he told McBurney. It's not that this is a bad idea, but this is far too close to an election to be starting this process. The judge noted that many county election officials have raised concerns about implementing the rules so late in the game. I'm asking you from a practical perspective, if the goal is orderly, reliable elections, why the prudent in terms of reasonableness approach wouldn't be to say let's try this next election when all those questions can be answered with no one having to sue. Also, like, what are the grounds for this to be even implemented anyways, right? Like there is no reasonable, logical grounds for the necessitation for all of this, other than to spread chaos, as S.P. Harkin points out. America First is a Christian nationalist organization. Yes. The reason why we shouldn't pause is that the requirement to do this and the time it would take to do this completely overblown. He argued that the process isn't complicated and the estimates show that it would take extra minutes, not hours, to complete. He also said memory cards from the scanners which are used to tally the votes could be sent to the tabulation center while the hand count is happening, so reporting of results wouldn't be delayed. A flurry of election rules passed by the state election board since August have generated a crush of lawsuits. McBurney earlier this month heard a challenge to two rules having to do with certification brought by the state and national Democratic parties. Another Fulton County judge is set to hear arguments in two challenges to rules tomorrow, one brought by Democratic groups and another filed by groups headed by a former Republican lawmaker, and separate challenges are also pending in at least two counties. Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. But for now, that seems like a lowercase w. All right, folks, we made it. We made it through all the through all the headlines. Thank you all for stopping by, and thank you for joining us here. Thank you to Cosmopolitics for rating. I appreciate you bringing your wonderful community over. Thank you. I appreciate it. And please go check out twitch.tv/Cosmopolitics and also follow her on Twitter as well. All the top quality news. Folks, if you enjoy the content, yes, thanks Cosmo and the crew. I appreciate it. Thank you. If you enjoy the content and want to help us out, make sure you hit the follow button if you haven't done so. On the YouTube, I see you guys keep liking the stream, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, consider joining the Discord. Join the Discord, folks. Check out the merch store, and if you want to tip your streamer, you can! ! Tip. Hey, look at that! Very Nice TV gave me a shout out on her channel. Thank you so much. I think we'll head over there. I appreciate the shout out to Very Nice TV. Thank you. We'll head over there. I appreciate the support. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, Cami, for stopping by as well. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. See ya. Yeah, it was very nice. Hang tight, folks. Hey! Thank you, Very Nice TV. Look at that. I was just about to raid you. So, hey, folks, if you're here from Very Nice TV, hang tight. Ride the ride the raid wave, okay? Yeah, it looks like it's a raid train. Thank you. And here I was thanking you for the shout out and about to raid you. But that's okay. Stay here, folks. And just ride the raid train with us. Come on. Choo choo. Thank you for the love. No problem. Thank you for the shout out. Appreciate it. All right, we found it. We found it. Let's do it. All right, folks. I will be here for the raid. Thank you. I'm trying to get over to the raid, but it's not happening. Okay. It's about a minute left. Okay. Okay, so it's going. It's going. It's going. Oh, there it goes. All right, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's